Hey, this is Zach, and tonight I'm here with the first ship, not the first ship that I've ever built, but the first ship that I sat down and created with a design and a plan and worked on as part of a larger design philosophy here. This is the Guarantee, and it has kind of permanently altered the way in which I design ships and space engineers and look at ships within science fiction in general. And I wanted to share that with you so that maybe you get the chance to call me an idiot for it, or maybe you'll agree, or more than likely you'll just be like, oh, that's cool, and move on with your life. But this project meant a little bit to me, and I wanted to spend time going over it. So we're gonna hop over into the light box, and I'll see you there. The Guarantee is a 6.3 million kilogram, 97 meter long destroyer. It is designed with some principles of realism in mind, and of course, in order to make things more fun or actually function in the game, there are some acknowledgements that that's not going to be the case everywhere. For instance, we've got a gravity generator, not a technology that I see ever existing, but here it makes the ship more convenient to explore, and so we have it. When I reference realism, most of the time I'm talking about the structure and design of the ship as a whole, where we're talking about utilizing a single direction of primary thrust, because resources aren't infinite, and you can build another ship with other thrusters. And then we rotate the ship and maneuver off in a different direction using those primary thrusters. Additionally, the interior of the ship reflects that, where we're climbing the ship lengthwise, where the floor is beneath me here. I'll actually fly into range of the gravity here. Yeah, so falling down the ship. Whee! And then the thrusters that are doing that, notionally doing that, are these 34 large ions down below with a small array of small ones. We don't have much side-to-side or reverse thrust for reasons that we've kind of already stated. The Guarantee is meant to be piloted primarily in duels or against slightly larger battleship type scenarios. It doesn't really love to be swarmed, but in case it does have 12 separate PDC standoff points, each of them with their own dedicated turret controller and turret. They each have 6 Gatlings, and you'll find 4 in the front and 8 in the rear here. Additionally, on the weapons, we've got 4 separate missile launch sites here, 2 on the bottom, 1 here and 1 on the exact opposite side, and then 2 toward the middle, 1 here and 1 on the exact opposite side. The missiles being used are from this person here, and if you download that workshop link, they come in a nice little package for you to reassemble as you like. Nice little doors here. So thank you to this person. Some of you may be here watching this content because you've seen my work on the end stage, and I built the Guarantee before I had almost any idea of how missiles worked. Actually, the only reason that I do is because I disassembled that specific set of missiles and reassembled them, and kind of tried to figure out how it worked from that. So thank you to, I'm going to attempt the name here. I think it's JJ Server. JJ Server. I'm just going to do the most American accent I can, and just deal with it, I guess. JJ Server. I'm sorry. Anyway, the Guarantee is, its primary battery is the 128 small grid railguns sitting at the front end here. It does also have 2 large railguns for poking things at a distance, but those 128 railguns are managed by Whiplash 141's Salvo script, and can fire off cyclically, as in you just hold the button and it fires for as long as you want, or until ammo runs out or power. Or it can be fired in a 3600 round burst, which can be done 3 times a minute, since small railguns recharge 3 times a minute. That's one of the advantages. The other is simply that I can fit 8 small grid railguns in the space, and a large grid railgun would actually take up 2 of these spaces, and it does. Those are light armor panels right in there. So it winds up being both a faster recharge and more damage per square meter. If you were to refill this entire segment with large grid railguns, you'd wind up with about 20, and that would be 50,000. That's damage per shot, 50,000 damage per shot per minute. That would be 1 million damage per minute. Whereas here, with this staggered and armored up a little bit, you actually wind up with 3,076,000 damage every single minute, and for that reason, it is for that reason that I've built it this way. It's fun. It's genuinely fun. So let's kind of get into that, and we'll just open up by sending off a quick salvo here. We are going to use the emergency cockpit for that, so we don't spoil anything, and we are just going to do cyclic first, right? So that's the rate of fire you can expect to basically be able to hold things at, and then we're going to do all fire here, and that's the burst. God, I love it. Anyway, that's why I built this thing. Realism and all of that is nice, but having 128 railguns firing out like that is really the kicker here. So, welcome to the ship. This is the forward airlock and armory section of the ship. There's basically just the airlock on either side. Managing the airlocks themselves, as well as all doors on the ship, is once again Whiplash 141 and their airlock script. And in this airlock, there are actually 3 doors, and one of those heads up to a small hangar. And that hangar, the floodlights on the outside are actually beaming in here, making this much brighter than it would ordinarily. So let's fly on out there, disable that, and I'll be right back. Cool, coming back on in, floodlights disabled, that's... Go away, sun. That's more what we can expect in terms of lighting here on the ship. So, small grid grind ship for, you know, taking out thrusters and other stuff after you've inevitably won your engagement there. And there is a second connector over here if you happen to have something small that you want to park on here, like, let's say, helper. And ta-da! That's the first time this ship has actually been docked on board the Guarantee. And now, the last time. Anyway, sorry about that detour. Might edit that out, might not. Oh, and above all of that is obviously where all the railguns are. So, let's go down the stairs. And this is the most boring floor. It is all just Keen software design blocks for the necessities, which include racks and medbay and some cryo in no particular order. So each of these is a locker and a bed. We've got bathrooms, we've got showers. Hooray, I paid for the DLC and I put this in here and I assigned a color to it, and that's what I did. Then we've got the medbay over here, and then down this way we've got the cryo chambers. Cool. Now, let's go down. Another necessity, we got the Galley, which I got to have a little bit more fun with because it's more of a communal space and you put more blocks, more distinct blocks in the same space. Hooray, that's here. I do think it's a necessity when I'm designing ships. It's part of the design language that I've kind of established for myself to have the amenities. Like, the ship needs to be able to actually function as if there are personnel on board. We've got cargo access here, and there's another one downstairs. There's a little bit of an office this way, and then we have the mainframe. Mainframe contains all of your event controllers, timer blocks, turret controllers, and programmable blocks, and is accessible right here. For those who haven't seen this before, small grid computing blocks operate the exact same as large grid ones, they just use less space and mass, and so I have them all here. Some do require access to the main grid. Here's another little cargo access, so I've got them down here on the bridge. This is the bridge. Has a few places to sit, has some programmable blocks, has some readouts here. This is another Whiplash 141 scripts. They've got the Salvo, the SIMPL script here, SIMPL, just a ship hull integrity monitor. They've got the Airlock script, and they've got, I don't have them named with the author, but Airlock, rename, Salvo, SIMPL, that's the whole monitoring, and TCES. I only use that to set up my turrets a little bit faster. But Whiplash 141 does a ton of scripts, and they do really good work on it. So I'd recommend almost any one of their scripts. Everyone that I've seen has worked pretty flawlessly, and it's documented well. I've also got Izzy's Inventory Manager and ZerothAngel's Cruise Control script here. Similar to the emergency cockpit, buttons are well, they're there, right? And all that's really left now is to hop over to engineering and see what's driving the thing. No, close. And here's engineering, which is accessible via stairs and then a ladder. Whee! And this is what we've got. A variety of kind of spaced out hydrogen, oxygen, and H2 generators in the pipes. And then we've got 8 nuclear reactors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you can see the yellow on the other side, that's 7 and 8 over there. We've also got, I'd say, about 100 gyroscopes managing everything, and then 2 large cargo containers down here. Everything is intended to be accessible and walkable, and we've got 4 additional airlocks down this way. So, now that we've walked through the ship a little bit, let's paste in a Factorum Warship and give it a go. Alright, so we've pasted our friend in, Factorum Warship over there, transferred it to the pirate faction, and AI is enabled. And let's get on to the main bridge. I'm not going to take this fight incredibly seriously. I test all of my ships out against the Factorum Warship as like a minimum standard, and I know that this well exceeds the minimum standard. But I will kind of tailor some of the flight to be what it should look like, and then I'll probably just park alongside the guy and delete him. Toolbar 4 is our observation. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 redundant cameras on the front as well as 2 on the rear. 3 is our flight controls with different thruster configurations turning on and off, 1 being all of them, 2 being just the forward ones, which allows for kind of when you're flying and you want to adjust course but you don't want to actually slow down, you do that and you allow the maneuvering thrusters to handle it. 3 is all hydrogen thrusters because that is a different resource. 4 is all maneuvering thrusters on and off, and 5 is sort of a cruise control mode here where we have just the center ion thrusters enabled. And then on 8 we have an emergency gyroscope override that disables it and gives us full control of the ship, and then 9 is ZerothAngel's cruise control script set to a reversed function, which gives us a flip and burn. So I'm going to accelerate to like 100 meters a second here and just do that for posterity, and then try and like land 2.5 kilometers away. So 100 meters a second goes pretty quick. It's a ship with a lot of thrusters. I use the word posterity, and I'll be honest, I don't know exactly what that means. One of the things I don't like about scripts that handle the flip and burn aspect is they aren't incredibly precise, certainly not off the bat. I'm going to disable the dampeners there, and I'm actually going to just double tap that one. That looks like it really thinks we are in range there. And so as we kind of approach this location, we will now launch some missiles. Try not to do too much. Yeah, that was a large one. Okay, sweet. Really want to disable some of those artillery on the side. I'm not sure if I did. So if I want to play this kind of meta, we rotate and thrust away before the artillery comes in, which it is kind of doing. And then we maneuver back into range there and play the fight out like that. Now that's pretty energy intensive, not something that I want to be doing all the time, just dodging shots over and over again. But sometimes you don't really know the capabilities of your enemy and you really do want to do that. Sometimes the amount of damage you take matters. Oh no! Speaking of, we're going to take a fair amount here, but the PDCs are going to come in with and try and knock out some of those turrets, which is always nice. And then I'm going to finally rotate the ship to a little bit of damage before we get out of range. That's exactly how that should go. Anyway. Yeah, I know. I'm going to... The large grid railguns do seem to fire a little bit faster than, or the velocity of the projectiles a little faster than the small grids. So I kind of have to guesstimate there since I don't have the actual weapon tool queued up. Do me a favor and take out those artillery turrets, please. I don't think it's really going to do it. It looks like he might have taken out one segment of weapons there. That's why we've got the armor blocks in between. Because that could have been worse. Didn't like that. I can't be running out of ammo, can I? More than likely. Let's do the SIMPL rate. More than likely he's just knocked out one or two of the sub-grids there. Using the word he. Could be a she. It's really an AI. Cyclic is not going to function absolutely continuously if you're missing some railguns, and it looks like you're probably missing 2 subgrids at the moment. But that is going to happen. PDCs. That looks like a camera's down. That's okay, that's why we've got more. So again, we could certainly be doing this in a lot more meta way. I'm just deciding to tank all these shots here, because unless he really gets some lucky shots, it's a bit of a, well, it's a bit of a guarantee. There's a chance that all of the weapons turrets have already been destroyed. I know that the flames aren't there, and that's the telltale signature, but sometimes when there's a lot going on, the game just says, I'm not going to render that, and that does seem to be the case, at least partially. Let's turn this on to all fire, because we can. Okay, so obviously not all the turrets are taken out. Maybe it's this guy. Well, that guy's gone. Maybe it was this guy. I don't know. We'll find out. Eventually. Artillery turrets don't take that long to reload. So I'm not really sure how Whiplash's salvo script works alongside damaged turrets. I think that sometimes it'll glitch out a little bit and try and like activate weapons that aren't active or cannot be activated. That's okay. That is alright. If I turn this back on to default, it's still working just fine. Anyway, I think that, oh yeah, no, I think that we have proved the capabilities against the Factorum Warship. I'm happy with that. Okay, so, on our end, well, that's damage. It looks like there's a slight hole in the floor of the bridge, but the bridge is otherwise alright. It is encased in heavy armor. That looks not so fun to repair, but that's okay. Never really avoid damage in this game. What the heck? Oh. PDCs must not like something. What are you shooting at there, buddy? Ah. Okie dokie. Well, for reference, that's what's left of this guy. So the majority of our forward battery is intact. Obviously, the large railguns are. We've suffered some armor damage throughout. But that seems to be the majority. The majority here does seem to be armor damage and damage to the weapons. Nothing is actually mounted there, and you can probably see that on the other side too. A lot of flames though. I'm guessing some of the thrusters took damage and they're lighting up, because it doesn't look like there's much fire on the inside here. Knocked down a bit of armor down into the hangar. Emergency cockpit still viable. Hole in the floor a little bit. Quarters largely intact except for that hole in the floor. This must have been a railgun shot. Oh. No, what was that? I don't even see. Whatever. I don't know what that was. I don't know what punched through here. I mean, it looks like a railgun shot until you look up and there's no anything. Galley's still fresh. Everything else is largely intact. So I'd say that's a pretty decisive victory over the harder vanilla ship to beat here, which isn't super impressive when you start building things up in the 6 million kilogram range, but does provide a baseline fight, which is really what I wanted to provide you. So again, hope that looked like fun, and hope to see you soon.